Good morning. This is Mike Houston with your Thursday morning weather hazard briefing for southeast Idaho. Looking at the key points for this forecast period, we do expect to see a disturbance lifting northeast into Washington state late this afternoon and then progressing east along the Canadian border tonight. And that should result in some isolated scattered shower and thunderstorm activity across the region. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. Otherwise, we expect to see a high-pressure ridge, which has been migrating from West Texas westward towards Baja, beginning to get stronger, and the result of that should be mostly dry and warmer conditions as we work our way into the weekend. Looking at satellite imagery this morning, we had some clouds left over from yesterday's convection drifting through the region this morning. Looking at our weather risk outlook matrix of doom, I do indicate little or no high-impact events here through the coming 5 days, but just a slight chance mention of showers and thunderstorms in some of our mountainous areas, and a lot of this dwindling off as we work our way into the weekend and early next week. Let's get to the forecast charts here, taking a look at the storm track for today. Here's that high-pressure ridge I've been talking about. It's been migrating westward from Texas. As that's been going on, we've been having these low-pressure systems rotating in off the Pacific, and we do have one that's expected to rotate up into Washington state late this afternoon, indicated here, and then east along the Canadian border overnight. And that should bring us some precipitation to the area. I'm going to show you a little different look, something we don't normally look at. It's the simulated radar reflectivity coverage for the area. And I like to look at this. It gives us the maximum extent of what we might expect from our models. And you can see a corridor of higher activity here extending from north of Salmon across southwest Montana, and then another little core back down here towards Burley-Shoshone area today. So these are the two areas that have the highest expectation of thunderstorm activity today. Can't rule out stuff across the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands, however. There's an indication that there's a potential there, so we'll have to take a look at things popping up in those regions today. Advancing to tonight, as that the low-pressure system works east along the Canadian border, it looks like we'll have some nocturnal showers and thunderstorms here across the Central Mountains. Looking at our storm track for tomorrow, here's that remnants of that low or trailing energy working east along the Canadian border. There's also some wiggles here coming through Island Park region. That should set us up for some activity, mainly right up along the Montana border region. To see these three corridors here off into Montana and Wyoming. So we may see some activity developing up along the Montana border tomorrow. Advancing the storm track to Saturday, we basically have that high-pressure ridge now squared over southern California, northern Baja. Again, some weak disturbances coming in over the top of this, although I think the ridge is going to begin to take greater control of the region. We do have some slight chance mention of thunderstorm activity possible up along the Montana and Wyoming divide at this time on Saturday, but for the most part, a great portion of southeast Idaho should be mostly dry. And then I wanted to jump way ahead here to the middle of next week, Wednesday. We see that high-pressure ridge now breaking down and this westerly flow beginning to set up across the Pacific Northwest. So that should bring us some maybe some fast-moving, weaker systems in through the region here. Hard to time at this time that far out, but probably bring us some periods of isolated to scattered thunderstorm activity and some winds across the region. Okay, looking at high temperatures for today, we do expect readings in the upper 70s to lower 80s here throughout the Snake River Plain and eastern Magic Valley, and generally in the mid 60s to mid 70s here in the Central Mountains and eastern Highlands. Minimum daytime humidities generally in the mid-teens to mid-20s here within the Snake River Plain, and solidly in the 20s to lower 30s here in the Central Mountains and Eastern Highlands. As we advance to Saturday, we see that the temperatures are generally running in the upper 70s to lower 80s here throughout the Snake River Plain and Eastern Magic Valley. Mid-60s to mid-70s in the Central Mountains and Eastern Highlands. So not a big change in temperature, but we do see at least the humidity is beginning to dry out, with daytime minimum humidities running from 15 to 23% here throughout the Snake River Plain, and generally in the mid-20s to lower 30s here in the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands. So certainly drying out as we work our way into the weekend. Okay, in summary, we do have a disturbance which is expected to lift northeast into Washington State late this afternoon, and then east along the Canadian border overnight. That should bring us some thunderstorms to the region, primarily the Central Mountains, but can't rule out places like the Magic Valley and the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands. So watch for those today. Otherwise, we're looking for a high-pressure ridge to begin to advance westward across the southern tier states, and that should bring us mostly dry conditions across southeast Idaho, as at least into Saturday. That's all I had for you here this morning. If you had any comments or questions, please reach out to us at one of these avenues here listed on the screen. Thank you.